Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast, where the veil thins and deeper truths begin to shimmer into view. Today, we welcome back the luminous Laura Wooster, intuitive medium, spiritual teacher, and host of the Intuitive Life on Mind, Body, Spirit FM, a certified medium with the Forever Family Foundation and an ordained minister through the Journey Within Spiritualist Church. Laura walks gently between worlds, listening where most cannot hear. With a presence that feels both grounding and expansive, Laura serves as an interpreter of the unseen, translating the subtle language of spirit where love moves as energy and connection never truly breaks. Through her work, she offers not only messages, but a remembering that those we call gone are still woven into the fabric of our lives. In times that feel uncertain or unsteady, Laura's guidance invites us to root more deeply into the present moment, to trust the quiet whispers within, and to soften into mystery rather than resist it. She doesn't seek to convince, but to open a doorway, one where curiosity replaces fear and where even the smallest glimpses beyond the veil can shift life forever. So, welcome, Laura. We're super excited to welcome you back to the podcast with us.
We sure are.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. I always love chatting with you both.
Thank you.
Yes, and we love chatting with you too. And before we popped on, we sort of talked about what we would kind of maybe look at delving into this time with you. And we were just talking about with all the unsettlement that's in the world right now, and how do we meander through it. So I'd love to talk to you about that.
This is a big topic nowadays. And yeah, and the, and I always tell my clients when I sit and talk with them and in a reading or a session to say, I never sugarcoat anything. I don't. And what's the point of it? And I stay optimistic though, but at the same time recognizing what is true and what is, and because once we can meet where things are, we can actually facilitate change or meet it in a more healthy way. So in this conversation, I might bring up things and be like, "Oh wow, are we bringing this up?" Um, but yeah, so I just been feeling like, you know, it. I have to kind of look back to like COVID times, like pre-COVID actually, and I about a year before the lockdown, I started seeing patterns in the readings that were coming up. I started noticing around a certain time frame, early spring, I I would see like there's changes or abrupt changes happening with people's lives, and of course, it came across in different ways and how it would affect their lives. But I didn't have a context for why now, why then, that kind of thing. And then, of course, once March 2020 rolled around, it started to make more sense why my travel agent client was going to be not doing a whole lot of work, or she'll be doing a lot of work, but it wasn't what she expected it to be, that kind of thing. And so, I have to say that I've been feeling the same thing for a while, a similar pattern shift with my clients over the last year, for this year, looking forward from now through like November. So, so the interesting thing is how this will it'll affect people, some people very positively, and in other ways, it will be disruptive for others, depending on what people's objectives in their lives are right now. So, how can we address all of this? And um, so, here's the positive thing that I can really say about this is that obviously systems are dismantling, and there's systems that are dismantling in a way that will not come back in the same way that they used to be. Um, and so, in a sense, that's kind of like a sense of freedom to possibly take some chances that we couldn't take before, because there isn't this template we have to follow. I'm not saying that we're breaking laws or anything. That's not where I'm going with this, but because everything's kind of dismantling here, that the time frame that we kind of put on ourselves to approach some objectives that we wanted to take care of in this lifetime is actually coming quicker, and we're going to have an opportunity to step into roles that we might have said, oh, someday I'll do this. That timeline is moving up quicker. Not always not always comfortable, especially for people who like to follow a certain path that they have laid out in their mind about how things are going to go. And for creative types, they're like, okay, they just go with the flow. But so that's the thing here. Like, how do we? So I want to kind of put that out there first before we start talking about how we maneuver through the day to day, unrest. But there's opportunity here for change in a good way. Again, not always comfortable for everybody, depending on what people's objectives are. Um, but on the end of what I'm seeing for most people on the other side of this, that it's going to be a better way of doing things. And also opportunities that we may not have seen where we are presently coming to fruition down the road. So again, doesn't make it comfortable. And I honestly, I feel like the next several months is going to be very uncomfortable for a lot of us. Yeah, but how
Do
do we
you,
get
do you
though,
think that
right?
do you think that we need that? Like this is the time we're like kind of being forced to some expect into being unsettled like this, to having to make these choices?
Yeah, I think it's because, we're really, my sense here is obviously we're coming to the age of Aquarius. And I don't know fully about the whole age of Aquarius thing, but I can kind of get the gist of it here. But we really are being called to live more soulfully, not necessarily spiritually, but soulfully. Something that, of course, depending on what people's objectives in life are and what they feel is important to them. Some of that might actually be a spiritual aspect to it, but soulfully, meaning like, what is it that your soul is calling you to do in this lifetime? What are the objectives that your soul is asking you to step up and do? And like I said, some of us say, someday I'll do this, someday I'll do that, and someday I'll do that. I'll show up this way in the world, but I can't do this right now. That kind of thing. That we're being asked to kind of strip away the I can't do this now, and how can I do this now? So that's what we're looking at here. Again, not always comfortable for everybody. You
And
notice
with
this?
an urgency.
Yeah, an
Mhm.
urgency, exactly, an urgency. Um, but have you noticed it as well in some sense with your clients too,
Oh,
doing
yeah.
readings?
Even
Have
with myself. Like this morning, I thought I have to put this on our podcast, but time kept running out, kept running out. And, but I'm still going to. But it was sort of like everything kept stopping me from doing it. But I just needed to just stop myself and do it,
yeah,
because that's what you're talking about, right? Taking that
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, time frame, and also the objectives that we set up and our goals in life.
Right.
That a lot of times we say, someday I'll do this.
Yeah.
When I'm retired someday, once the kids are grown, I'll do this, or all the things that we say about these things, that we're being asked to find a way to make it happen now,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and what your soul is calling you to do. And so but the thing is, we've been it by design. We are we have, like we were talking just before we came on the air here, is that every day we wake up and there's something new that we have to like take in. And that's by design. It's very unsettling, very disorienting, and absolutely it's by design. And so how do we approach our daily life, staying informed, but yet also not getting to a point where you can't function? Like I'm finding that's where a lot of people are coming to. It's like, I can't anymore, to stay informed but functioning at the same time. And we've kind of turned a corner, I feel, globally. That if there's something that you feel very strongly about, whatever this may be, that enough people are also feeling the same way that you are, whatever that may be that you're feeling strongly about, that it's time to kind of drill down to what is it that was within your power today, knowing that other people in different areas and wherever their lives are touching other people's lives, that they do their part with their strengths and their reach,
Yeah.
you do your part with your strength and your reach,
Yeah.
knowing that collectively we're moving the whole boat in the right direction. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is kind of we're being asked to take our focus back a little bit, at the full picture in panic mode, and say,
Mhm.
what can I do today? What can I get back to ground level? And I find that when we do that, when we kind of get back to, I always say chopping wood, carrying water kind of thing, getting back to that, that focus and say what is needed today and work on that it's very grounding for us. I feel like, at least for me, I feel like my panic kind of settles down a little bit. I feel more connected to the people around me. I feel more connected to the earth. I feel more connected to my body. So that's probably the best thing that I could say. And it sounds so simple, and it is. And at the same time, it's stay informed just enough to know what's going on in the world, and then do your thing.
Yeah. Well, because it really, like, for me, I find like it just like so disrupts my nervous regulation by reading this stuff. And, I do think that we need to see these things, but it's like there's so much anger behind it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to take that into myself when I'm
Yeah.
reading that.
Gosh, no.
And of course, once you start reading it, especially on social media, your algorithm is like, oh, you would like to read more of that. And it's like, no, but I don't, I really, no,
Right?
Go away.
I want to see cute puppy dogs playing.
Yeah, that's why I'm always careful when I go on social media that I interact with things I want to see as much as the things I feel I need to be informed about. That
Yeah.
way I get a nice balance. Um, but yeah, and I was having that conversation with a friend the other day, and we're very similarly minded about some things that are in the world. And I said, is it anger that we're feeling here, or is it frustration? Like, those are two different things completely.
Hmm.
We're frustrated with, some things that are transpiring, and it may come across as anger. And I guess some people might express it that way. Their frustration may come across in a very angry way. Um, I like to say I'm just concerned and frustrated,
Hmm.
and it's very different from anger. Um, at least for me, anger feels very different to me in my body, and I just know when I see these things that trigger me or make me feel like I need to do something, or something needs to change. Is frustration and concern, and then I have to ask myself, what can I do to counteract this, to facilitate change, to be part of the change that's needed.
Hmm.
So the thing is, acknowledge what the emotion is, figure out where it's coming from, and then what is it that you can do today to facilitate the change you feel you need. And it may not be a direct direct connection to what the first thing you saw in the morning that you go, oh my goodness, what is going on? But also, like, what's within my reach right now that I can do to make life a little bit better for the world. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, I think these things are really important to get out there, all these different social issues and things that are happening that have been somewhat hidden, I suppose, in the past.
Yeah.
And, but it's like, and how do we, as people, how do we fight for some of these justices that perhaps need to be fought for? And, we do some of this, we need to have that out there so we can make the changes.
Yeah.
So how do we do that?
No, right? That's a really good question. Well, here's the thing. First of all, recognizing what is, I mean, because we're all coming from different places, we've all had different experiences. And for some of us, some of the things that we are witnessing in the world, I mean, all of these things have always been there. And I'm not saying it justifies it at all, 100% not. It's always been there. Nothing's really changed so much. It's just being more seen now, more visible to us in a way that's a blessing, in a way, I don't know, especially especially for people who may have had something, a trauma-based event or events that are adjacent to the things that they're witnessing in the news. And it just brings up a lot. So it may be for people who are feeling fully triggered and bringing up memories of things that they're still struggling with. Their job, I feel, at least if it feels right to them, is to take care of themselves and make sure that they feel healthy in mind and body. That's 100%. Because I fully believe in the collective. If we can work on our own stuff, it will pan out to the rest of the world. So if it's directly affecting someone mentally or physically, they need to focus on what's going on with them personally first, 100%.
Yeah.
Others who may be a little bit more, maybe not as affected or in places of power, or they have the ability and the bandwidth to be a bit more vocal or to be able to do some action that's a bit more involved, 100% should do that. Everybody's got something they can do. And it could be more personal or more global or more local, whatever that may be. But so how do we, and again, action, I feel like helps us to bring our our sense of like panic and not feeling in control of how the world's going. It brings power back to us. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does bring that power back to you, because then you feel like, you can do, even if you're just taking care of yourself, it feels like something that you can do. So I love that you said that, because I think you're right. There's a lot of people that are triggered by things that they see, read, hear, and I mean, I don't try to go on. I do not go on my phone first thing in the morning.
No.
It's a little bit later, after I've already kind of grounded down, done my meditation, those kind of things, because that isn't what I want to pop my eyes open and see, right? Because
exactly.
there's just so much of it. And do you think that there's a reasoning right now? Is it to make us change that we are starting to address some of these things globally?
Oh gosh, yeah, I really do. I think we're being called to action for this, to recognize that there's, before we couldn't see a lot of these things, and some of us may have been aware that it might be happening, but it wasn't like right there. We can't
Right.
avoid it anymore. We can't ignore it anymore. And so that we're able to show up for people and help them when they need it, and to be able to
Yeah.
support them in acknowledging their experience and their trauma, their whatever it is, whatever we want to call it, whatever their experience is, and to be able to show up for people and say, you're not alone. You're 100% not alone, and we can help you through this. And it's
Right.
just by recognizing, I think that's some of the things, even though a lot of the people we might be seeing in the news that were affected by some things that are becoming more prevalent or more visible, you know,
Mm.
um, just by supporting those around us who have had similar experiences, but maybe never felt heard. And we can reach out to them and say, you know, I know that what you might be seeing in the news right now might be very hard for you. And, do you want to talk about it?
Mhm.
And then helping those people that are closest to you,
Yeah.
and supporting them and letting them know we hear you, we see you, and your feelings and your panic and your concern, whatever those things may be, are valid, all those feelings. So I think it's calling us to show up for each other a bit more. But I will say, there's one thing, it really depends individually, right? Because I just had, so I'm just coming out of sort of the 6-month personal thing that I've had to kind of sit back and kind of recognize it a bit, where I had to kind of pull back a bit from my circle of people and just kind of hone into on what I needed. And
Right.
so sometimes the people we need to be present for is us temporarily, right? Even if, as much as you want to help people, as much as you want to have allow friends to lean on you a bit more. I couldn't do that for people, so I was like, okay, pull back. And I said, this is what I need to do. And I'm kind of coming out of that cave right now, and be getting a bit more connected to my circle of friends, but and being able to be more present for them. So it's sort of that discernment. I feel like we're all being asked to discern what is it that you personally need, and then what is it that, even if it's a very small thing, what can you do from where you are, and then move forward. So
Yeah.
Mm.
I can relate to that, because I've really been feeling like just kind of disconnected from people, and sort of um re-examining who I am and where I am at my point in my life, and how I want to move forward, and what are true feelings for me, and how are things around me,
Yeah.
rather it's family or globally or
Yeah.
whatever it is, how are they affecting me, and do I like the way that it feels, or is this something that I need to move
Away from.
away from? And is there things I need to get rid of, like it's like a big reassessment of my life. So yeah, that discernment that you're talking about and that kind of running into like this little cave kind of is I
Yeah,
can totally relate to that because and I think that there's probably a lot of people doing that right now.
I think so too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty much like what I've been through over the last 6 months. It's a readjustment of things, right? Readjustment of how you see the world and where you want to go with this and everything. So I think we all are having different experiences of that, and some of us are ready to dive into it and really, you know, try to understand it. And some of us are kind of panicking and going, oh, I don't know if I want to dive into that yet. And that some people may never do that, depending on where they are in their life. But yeah, isn't it interesting though? And I feel like wherever we are today, and this is where intuition comes in, wherever we are today is where we need to be, where we choose to be. And as long as we're not, we really are being asked not to turn away anymore, whether it be our own stuff, the global stuff, community, whatever, family issues, all these things. We're being asked, okay, what is it that you need? You need to start paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and we need to give ourselves a little bit of honor and grace as we're going through this, right? Because this is really a scary time. And, like I think about things like I want to leave my job and focus more on the spiritual business, but then you got that tie to the money, and then you're like, there's a whole lot of re-examining with that of if I put that out to the universe that this is what I want, do I really? Or like
Yeah.
that's a scary fact to sit down with yourself and be like, what is it that I want and where's my space in the world that I can give bandwidth to what I feel is important
Mhm.
things and callings out there,
Mhm.
right? Rather
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
something that's happening, something that you're
Right.
being awoken to and seeing, oh my goodness, this is something I really need to stand up for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that true though? Yeah. Yeah. It's this, and you just said something I just want to circle back to. It was something about, I just lost it. Sorry.
Okay. It'll come back in a bit too.
Gonna pause.
Yeah, right. Yeah, throw that in the mix too, right? Just for fun.
Yeah. But yeah, it's so true though. Yeah, so recognizing where we need to what is needed today, and you're allowing your intuition to tell you what is it the world needs today, what is it you need today, and and the grace piece. That's what I wanted to circle back to is a lot of times I feel like we have a lot of grace for other people, but we don't have the same for ourselves. And we absolutely have to offer grace to ourselves when we're struggling, or we're just not up to it. We're just not up to showing up for the world today. That can happen. It happens, especially lately. I've seen some of the strongest people I know just say, I can't do it today. I just have to step back and
Pull back.
just go for a walk and grab an ice cream, whatever it is, and being okay with that knowing that there's other people picking up the mantle when you're not. And as long as you get back in the game, you're good.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you think that right now this is also a re-examining of use the word faith as a thing, as far as like what our beliefs are and who we believe in, and is it more about, not necessarily a religious thing because there's nothing wrong with that, but just in determining what it is, what path we want to follow with that?
Good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm finding there's some people in my life that I know who are turning back to religion, and they may not have been to church in years, and all of a sudden they're just they're looking for something that doesn't change, something that's going to be rock solid foundation that they can go back to, right? Whatever that belief system is for them. So a lot of people are going back to religious services to find stability, something that they count on every single week, to find community, to find that, to connect with people who want the same things that they have, or searching for that same foundation. So yeah, absolutely. I think that spiritually this is happening in a lot of ways. Um, and it's from what I'm how I'm observing it anyways. Obviously it's a very personal journey for each person that does this, but from observational viewpoint, it's a starting point. It's a starting point somewhere of figuring out what is it that life is requiring from me going forward now, and it's just a way to stabilize their viewpoint of the world, and then decide, okay, how do I need to start showing up in the coming years, and because I think we all kind of feel like we're not going back. We're not going back. So it's stability is a really important thing right now for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find too with yesterday was talking with someone, it's finding the solace that they're missing. They had that when they were younger and it made them feel good. It made them feel that sense of belonging and
Yeah.
knowing about themselves, feeling confident about themselves. So, and life has took them down this road, and now they're trying to find themselves back to what made them so comfortable that they can actually feel that they are part of their own self instead of out there scattered doing whatever people want them to be doing. Because I had the same thing to yesterday with a lady. She said, I feel like going back to the church because I don't know what I'm missing, but I need to find that.
Yeah.
So you hit it right on the nose. It's she's trying to find that peace within herself that she had, right? That's
Right.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And also I think we're all getting a bit nostalgic a little bit too. I find myself like pulling out like records and putting them on the record player. I like from the 80s, you know.
The old
I
days.
just kind of not that I want to look. I mean, the 80s obviously they've had its own issues, but I'm looking at rose-colored glasses at the 80s. Um but the so sort of this nostalgic play of where we felt like things were never going to change, like things are very predictable, things like that. And so in a sense, like maybe going back to church or going back to what things we used to do when we were younger, as part of a family, or it's like a bit of a nostalgic thing too. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of taking you back several decades to kind of see, okay, I'm searching for something.
Hmm.
Yeah. Sense of belonging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
are searching right now. And that, like, I love when you said, and with the community, I think that's really important to people right now too, because I feel like people feel like the community is broken down as much. And I find it really interesting because the little hamlet that I live in has been doing quite a lot of community things, like, you know, coffee as Saturday morning coffees and community potlucks and these different activities. And I'm seeing more and more of it. And I'm like, isn't that interesting that these little places are trying to bring back that sense of community for people to say, just come, that you belong here, you're
Right.
welcome here. And I
Yeah,
really I think that's a really nice thing to see.
Getting to
it
know.
is.
Hmm.
Yeah. Getting to know your
Yeah,
right.
that's such a
Right.
wonderful point to make, because there's some of the louder voices of in the recent times has been to tell a lot of people they don't belong.
Hmm.
And my personal, maybe it's just the people that I hang with, maybe it's like that's not my viewpoint, that I really feel like there's more people who feel like everybody belongs rather than what the loud voice is saying. And so I think anything that reflects that. I mean, I see more people going to farmers markets. We had, we do a spiritual cafe once a month. New people are showing up all the time, looking for a community where they can talk about soulful topics, and people showing up to gardening clubs now, and just like really grounded community-based activities, and just coming back to the simplicity of life and connection. So I think that's one of the thing, there's always a gift even in the most challenging times, and I feel like that's been the gift that is just we're just starting to unwrap that gift now. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think people want that simplicity in their life, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because as fast as we're advancing technologically, you're seeing that with people, right? Like I just see a lot of things even on social media and talking to different people about, oh, now I'm got my own garden, or, now I'm starting to can, or now I'm starting to, do these creative projects that don't have anything to do with the technology. And I think, isn't that an interesting time? And then I also think, oh, is that priming us up for something that's going to be happening here in the
The
near
future,
distance future, that we are going to have to
rely on each
rely
other
on those sources of the
and each other
simplicity and each other?
and each other.
Hmm.
We've been moving so quickly,
Yeah.
and people are confused by the swiftness that's going on around us. So they're looking
Mhm.
for something to slow them down a little bit to actually be able to collect their thoughts and gather where they should be, what they should be getting around them, right? It's seems
Yeah.
to be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I can completely understand too about there's a lot of people who are feeling intuitively that there's a greater need for this as well, beyond the community connection. And I think we are kind of picking up on the potential of that, and um, I will say that the percentage of potential on that is kind of waned a little bit, at least fairly recently. But there was a time I was like, I need to learn how to can. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to figure it out. But yeah, I was like, I felt really strongly, but and I always go, I let my intuition tell me like this is but I haven't felt the need as much in recent. That may change.
Right?
So the percentage of possibility here has kind of waned a little bit, but still, I think it's still a wonderful thing to keep in mind at the same time. But
Hmm.
uh, yeah, there's definitely things that we can do.
Well, I think too, when we see these different things that are happening within our world, it's like you're watching them and then there's all these rise and falls. And I think collectively with our energy, when these things come up and they make us a little bit fearful or unsettled because we're not sure how to handle them, I think we put that energy out there, and then we feel this sense of, oh my goodness, we need to prepare for doom
Something.
and
Oh
gloom,
yeah.
sort of, right?
Yeah.
And then and
Right.
then it goes away and you're like, oh, okay, no, I think we might be okay. So I wonder if it's some
Yeah.
of that is just like the collective energy that we put out when these different things arise in globally for us.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, it's also our instinct too. Intuition there's an overlap with intuition and instinct is survival. So,
That's
if
true.
when we're not sure what's happening, and we know something unsettled is happening, and we're feeling the pattern recognition that a lot of us see. The first thing is, okay, what do I need to survive? We need to can food,
Yeah.
so yeah, buy toilet paper, all those things. But yeah, I always say when I feel the need to do that, and then I say, okay, where is this coming from? Is this a real need right now? Is it more of a sense of there's a pattern that I'm recognizing here, that even if I don't know what the pattern is, that what is it behind it? And there's been times when it's like, okay, this is valid, and other times I'm like, something else, we just don't we need more information that's coming, but it's not,
Mhm.
so yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's a good point, is that people should be listening to their intuition
Oh yeah.
instead of following the masses, right? I mean, because there is some, yeah, sometimes we need to follow the masses, but if we're using that internal
Mhm.
intuition that you were talking about, then that's where we can pinpoint of what we should be doing that feels right for us.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, going for a walk, a little quiet meditation, to kind of unplug from the fear a little bit. Um, and to yeah, to get a sense of, okay, what's my place in this right now? And
Mhm.
again, it's not turning away from what's happening. It's not ignoring what's happening. It's more of just recognizing what's within your power. So,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
agreed.
Relaxing.
Yeah, relaxing. Well, right, yeah, you're exactly right. Like taking a beat for a second, because we throw ourselves so wholeheartedly in
Yeah.
it. If we could actually just step back and be an observer for a minute,
Mhm.
perhaps we'll see that situation in a different light.
Mm. True.
Yeah. It's like, okay, am I meant to be an observer with this? Am I meant to act? And you'll know if you take a moment, like you said, take a beat. Yeah, okay. And I need to act on this and go for it. And then other times like, you know what, this isn't I need that, not today, maybe another day kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think, because for people that are kind of, as we go through all of these unsettling times, because I think that's just somewhat of a new reality, right?
It
Is
is.
there, and there's always going to be it. There always has been, good times and then unsettled. So what are some things that you think, besides like going for walks and doing some meditation, is there anything people can do as a little bit of self-care for themselves that would help get through this time?
Compassion.
Yeah. Well, it's first recognizing, do you need people? I mean, that sounds terrible. Do you need people? Do you need time for yourself? There's some people really thrive being around other people and they feel regenerated by that. And some people feel better when they have alone time and, doing something quiet for themselves. So whatever it is that you need, it's like, and there's some people who may be the type of people who step back a bit, and then they've got people coming after them like, you're spending too much time alone. And it might be the opposite too. It's like, you're just distracting yourself by being around too many people. You need time on your own. So it can go both ways. But really being true to yourself about what it is, like what type of personality are you? What is it that you need? And is it quiet time? Is it time? Are you pulling way too back from the world? Do you need to make connections with people again so that you feel part of connected? And I mean, how many times have we, especially after, just soon after COVID kind of started to open up a bit more, when we all just craved being around people a lot. It's like, I need a hug. Oh my God. So it's just recognizing that the self-care is recognizing, okay, what is it that you need today, and being okay with that and having grace with that and not beating yourself up, but also recognizing when you're getting a little too comfortable.
You're
Yeah.
complacent.
Yeah.
Complacent.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah, it's a good word. Complacent.
Yeah, we shelter ourselves, right? I'm just going to shelter right now, and then it's like, why do I feel agitated and sad and emotional? And it's like, oh, maybe I actually need some human connection, not just my
Yeah.
own. Right.
Yeah.
And I think listening to our bodies, right, when we're going through this, because our bodies tell us so much that we just ignore. We're like, ah, that's nothing, but it is something. It's like our hearts want to be out there and have some kind of connection, rather it's with one person or with many people.
True.
Yeah, so true. And and I've heard some people say, like, I've been trying to be more proactive about, if I see a really great musical act, I want to go, in some small theaters around here. I'm like, I just want to go so I can feel part of a group and just enjoy music, bring, some joy and,
Mm.
just be a part of that. And some people struggle with that. They're like, how can I feel joyful for a few hours and enjoy something like that when all this is going on in the world? And I also struggled with that a little bit, but I also remembered that, once things start to settle down a bit, I do believe, I'm very optimistic here that, we may not be going back, but the pendulum is going to swing in the other direction and be a bit more balanced. And part of our job is to maintain the joy in the world, to support the artists, support the people who really, the make us feel alive, so that when things kind of come back to whatever normal is going to be, that this all still exists for all of us. The art still exists, the things that really bring us all together, whatever that may be. And so whatever you can go to support and feel good for a few hours, you're creating something for the future. You're creating something for people to continue to live for and to look forward to. So you're part of that process by being the patron of those things, and going to your local art studio, or going to even just visit a friend in the local coffee shop and having a chat. You supporting the places where people gather.
Mhm.
Anything like that, to even if you're not ignoring what's going on, you're actively creating the world that we're stepping into over the next few years.
Yeah.
It's not a small act, and it's not ignoring what's happening either.
Mm.
No, I think too, when you take the time to do something like that, like you're bringing some joy to yourself and a little bit
Yeah.
of peace. And I think you're actually recharging your battery and your
Yeah.
bandwidth to be able to present yourself back out into the world to take action or to do whatever it is that the world is calling for us to do.
Mhm.
I think I love that you do that because, and supporting locally, I think is so beautiful too, because
Yeah.
we're helping build back up that community and stuff with
Yeah.
each other. So
Yeah. You're
that's a very
absolutely
cool
100. I
thing.
love how you said that. Like it's sustaining your energy to carry on and be in the fight if you need to, and also to like and create the world we want as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
it's always such a pleasure talking to you. We love
Always
it, love it, love it. You just, well, you have
Thank you.
just such a lovely
calm.
way and calm, yeah, exactly, way of saying things to people that, really is going to make the followers and us, I'm sure,
Mhm.
to rethink different things in our lives about how we're moving forward. So, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
You just go to my website, laurawooster.com. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you both, Kim and
wonderful.
Barb. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you. And if you had one final thought or something to say to our followers and us, what would it be?
Oh, what would it be? Oh gosh. Um, well, I just had a thought. I was just, how do I want to say this? Um, just, I know this sounds so simple, and I know this sounds like oversimplistic. Actually, it's just, take a moment to find a word, a sentence, something that just makes you feel like gives you hope. Like just find something. I don't, it doesn't really matter where it comes from or if it's a piece of music or from a book or something that, it was a line from a book that you loved. Just like write it down and read it. And I know it sounds so simple, but anything that sustains us is a good thing. Even the smallest things are just words.
Mm,
Yeah.
perfect. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much again for joining
Yes,
us. It's
thank
always
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
And
My pleasure.
until we meet the next time.
And we will.
Anytime.
Yes, well,
Anytime.
thank you so much. And everybody else, we will see you on the next one.
You bet.
Right.